creo, mucho menos en tu cama, seguimos envueltos.
All right, guys. Welcome everybody to Famous DJ Academy. Today we have a very special guest. We have a DJ Dome. We have some of our students here in front of us. We have DJ Kato, Tony B. Fresh, and Damien. What we're doing here is we're trying to take these guys and set them up to be successful DJs in the industry. Kind of just like out the gate running. You know what I mean?
Cool, man.
Ready, set up, business, everything. So I wanted to bring Dome in today because he's been a mentor of mine ever since I got started. Like I've known him since before I even had turntables, and I asked him and all that stuff. So I think his knowledge would be perfect and amazing to any DJ that's trying to get started, is looking to really make a career out of DJing. A little background about Dome. I mean, he's you know done it all. He's done all the big Hollywood clubs. He's DJed in around the world. He's been flown out to DJ across the country. I mean, he DJed for almost any kind of celebrity that you guys can think of. I mean, you could check him out on Instagram. He has pictures with all these really cool people. So he knows what he's doing, man. So very big welcome. Very good friend of mine.
Thank you.
Really happy to have
thank
him.
you.
I think it's gonna be awesome. DJ Dome. If you wanted to say a few things to start off,
I
you
mean,
can tell about how you got
I
started.
think you kind of said everything, guys. I mean, I don't really know. No, I'm kidding. No, man, those are really nice words. Yeah, I've been DJing for 12 years, and it's funny. I remember you've been DJing for what, 8 years? 9 years. I remember, what when we first started talking, he would constantly. It's funny because he would hit, like, not in a bad way, but he would ask me for X, Y, and Z, and I remember I used to think I would appreciate that because I feel like people now, I think they get so caught up with this ego, or they get so, oh, I don't need help kind of thing. But everybody needs help. You don't just start doing what you're doing and know everything. It's impossible. And I remember he would call me for little things, and I would hit him back too. Like, at the end of the day, like, no matter how big or what you do, unless you're like, Kanye West or Justin Timberlake, you don't really need help along the way. You know what I mean? And even then, these guys are doing things that they do big business moves that I'm sure that they needed, advice on, or whatever the case is. And I remember it was cool to always, like, the closer me and him got, I would actually ask him for help or him for advice, and like on little things, and that was always kind of cool. I've been DJing for 12 years, I think 11, 12 years, something like that. Um,
What got you started? Like, why did you start DJing?
Music has always been like the thing for me. I'll be honest. When I was younger, I wanted to be a singer. I just don't have the voice for it. I swear I do, but obviously when I hear myself recorded, I'm like, damn, like I can't. I gotta stick to what I'm doing.
We stick to the car karaoke.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it was just cool. It was just, music was always kind of my thing, and I had some family members that would always be like, it'd be fun if you DJed, it'd be fun if you DJed. And at the parties, I was always the one kind of just playing music off my iPad. If I went to a party in high school, it was funny because when I would go to parties in high school, I don't drink, I don't smoke, never drink, never smoke, never drank, never smoked, excuse me. And I was always the one who was told to play music, and it was just like, it was cool that people, like, see people just like laugh and have a good time. So the older, like, I became 17, 18 years old, and everybody around me was becoming, it was like it was the thing to do, to become a DJ, to become like the just it was just a fad, and I wasn't the cool guy. Like, I hung out with the coolest kids in school, but I wasn't the cool kid. I was just like, I just hung out with them kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to become the, oh, he's just another DJ kind of guy. But I was like, you know what? Screw it. At the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I want to do kind of thing. And I did it. I practiced every single day for 20 hours a day. I'm not exaggerating.
What year was that? Like, around what year?
90. 2008, 2009, I want to say. So 11 years. I would just practice every single day. Lived and breathed it, because music was already my biggest thing. So it was cool to just kind of like be, hear this mixed with that, and and just it was always exciting. And it was funny because I remember when I first started. Now, obviously, I can do it with my eyes. I can do certain things without even looking, or have a conversation with you and do my thing. But when I first started, I was like stuck on my thing. I wouldn't stare away.
Nah, don't bother me.
Yeah, like, and when I, it was cool because when I got like a bass with the bass and a snare with the snare, I was like, oh my god! I was like, it was the coolest thing on earth. And now, like, it's funny because every once in a while you think, like, you do so many things in life, and you look back and you think, like, damn, like little moments kind of make you think, like, it's crazy because I remember starting in a garage, just stuck with headphones and the ghettoest $50 mixer with the cheapest used turntables I could have bought, and now it's just like,
It's like second
yeah,
nature to you, huh?
it's like,
When you were practicing back then, didn't it feel like you weren't even practicing? You were just doing something you really like to do.
yeah, it
But you
was,
were practicing, but you were just DJing because you loved it.
yeah,
It
it
didn't feel
really
like
was
you were
that. It
practicing.
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't practice. It was just, it was fun. It was
Yeah.
exciting. And it's kind of weird to say, bro, but like it's cliche because I'm a DJ, all of us, but you can feel it through your blood. You felt excited. You would
Yeah.
wake up. You couldn't wait to start mixing. You go to sleep. You're thinking, man, if I can do this, if I can do that. Because I took it seriously when I first started, and I wanted to do X, Y. I wanted to do this. I always had little goals for myself. I didn't imagine to be, celebrities' phone numbers in my phone, and I never imagined to be that. I always thought like, dang, it'd be cool if I can do this. But for me, my first big goal was to be like, I want to do, a little party for my family. And then from that, like I didn't think anything more of it. I just thought of it like, let me play music for people I care for. And I just wanted to be good at it. That way they can enjoy it.
Mhm.
From there, I went to party, from party to club to this to that and this, and it becomes, your goals grow. I think as you grow, they should grow as you go, and
It's all a process, man.
yeah, it's
You
just,
know,
yeah, and it's being consistent and persistent with it.
I feel it, man. That's awesome. So you started in 2008. When was it that you started getting into like clubs and stuff like that? What kind of took you from the house parties to the clubs?
It was so I started, I lied, 2009. I'm thinking back. It was 2009. Um, I did my first gig ever was my little cousin Lily. It was her birthday party, and it's funny because it was a family little birthday party. Like I have the picture somewhere. I'll send it later, but it's a picture of like me with broken headphones and just like computer speakers as my output. It wasn't even like
Yeah,
this. It was like I was embarrassed to like, and I was like in a corner, like far away, because nobody cared about me. It was just like they were like, oh yeah, he's a DJ.
I think
Like
you
it
showed
was
me.
one of
I
those
think your
things.
turntables were like on boxes, no? Like on
Yeah, they were on
cardboard
boxes.
boxes
Yeah,
and
and
stuff.
like and the little milk carton. I don't even know how I had it, but the milk carton. And yeah, and then from there, I remember my tia. She was like, "Hey, my one of my coworkers liked the way you played. Can you do her party?" And back then, you really didn't think about money. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, "What do you mean? Like, like how much?" She's like, "How much would you charge?" And I was like, I was 18, man, so I was living for free, And so
Mhm.
I was like, man, I'll charge her $100 all night,
Mhm.
And I was just like, now it's like, man, you can't even give me $100 to wake up in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but it's
Yeah,
yeah, like it
I know what you
just
mean.
I started then, and from there it was really word of mouth. I got into the clubs 2009, same year. I was very determined to, because I was doing some parties, and I thought to myself, man, it'd be cool if I can be on a stage. And yeah, and then I would hit up whoever I could, whoever I like. I would look up the coolest things to do, the coolest places to be, and I did my best to reach out to that person. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
and that person ended up being, he's my, my favorite, one of my favorite people on earth now. And his name is Jesse. He goes by Dirty Draws, DJ Dirty Draws. I ended up, connecting with him little by little. And it was, I think I seem more like a stalker than a fan than anything, because I was at every gig he was at, and I was just, because I was excited to be there, and it was cool because I was DJing at a lot of the gigs too. So he probably felt like, what is this fool doing here?
Hmm.
But it was funny because I was actually working hard. I was I was constantly putting out mixtapes, little 10-minute, 15-minute demos to different promoters saying, "Hear me out, please. Hear me out. Hear me out." And this one guy who ended up, liking my work at the time, he was like, you know what, I'll give you a shot at my club. And it's funny, I remember, I'll never forget the day. It was July 31st, 2009, where I did my first club officially. It was the second room, but it was like the biggest deal to me. And back then, you still do. I mean, obviously, there's no clubs open right now because of COVID, but you had to really like, you really had to hustle and they would give you tickets. You had to have 100 tickets, and however many you sold, and they weren't even selling, you were just giving them away. However many people showed up is if you got booked next week, and that
Hmm.
was that was the motivation. And back when you're starting, like now it's like the older you get into the game, the more you think about promo and stuff. But you weren't thinking like, oh, I gotta promote this. You were thinking like, I gotta promote myself.
Hmm.
And I it's cool because you go from that, and then you grow into the business. And
That helps you grow as a DJ too,
Yeah,
though, right?
exactly, yeah.
Like showing you how to get yourself out there and how to get people to like listen to a mix that you release, or if you're gonna have a
Yeah,
set
because
somewhere. Like it's all
exactly.
like the groundwork,
Yeah,
like
all that
getting
real
in.
footwork
Yeah.
because I'll admit, obviously now I've got there's times where I've gotten really lazy, where I've gotten really comfortable, and I've and I just I'm nowhere near the point where I can just kick back and put my head, my arms back and be like, yep, I'm so and so. It should never be that level.
Mhm.
But but when you first start off, it's like you're promoting you. You're not promoting. You're saying, yeah, I'm DJing here, but it's always I'm DJing here, I'm DJing here, I'm DJing here, and you're excited to show people your work, your music, your content, and you practice so long to be in in that setting.
Mhm.
Even if it's a second room, I think people now get this idea of, oh, second room, no, I'm good. It's like, okay, where are you gonna play, bro? In your backyard still?
Mhm.
Like a second room is a step. You don't just Justin Timberlake didn't wake up and become greatness. You know what I mean? Kanye West doesn't wake up and become greatness. They did X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So it's just starting from there, and really, it's you motivate you put in as much as you put in. You get as much as you get in.
Mhm.
Oh man, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You get as much as you put into it. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the
definitely.
best. Yeah,
Yeah, man, I feel you. It's definitely a process, and see the thing. I feel like back then DJs I felt that had a lot more passion in the art, like in the art of DJing and like
they did.
the type of like mixing that they did, and I feel like you coming from like that era of like of growing into being a DJ at that time, it really pushed you to be like an artist as opposed to just a DJ. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
to have a name. People were more about it back then.
Yeah, it really
It
was
like
like,
people hustled
and
hard.
it's cool. But I feel like you're one of like the last. I feel like there was a cutoff of like DJing in general, and you were the last. You're the last DJ I know to have made that artistry of it, not
Hmm.
just, oh yeah, I DJ and it's like whatever. It wasn't like the for to be cool. You did it because you loved it. You
Hmm.
wanted to become the artist, which you're obviously now. You're down dirty, stuff like that. And it's like I feel like you were that last person to really grasp that. And like it was more about the entertainment. It was about, I mean, it was obviously other things involved, but ultimately the end goal was entertainment and genuinely loving the music.
Hmm. Yeah, and see, like how you were talking about draws, I feel like I was kind of like that to you, and I feel like it sucks at least on my end that I kind of caught like the tail end of it because I feel like I didn't really get to really go to like sessions with DJs and stuff like that. It was like it kind of all ended at that point, and then the house party scene like kind of died
Yeah, I
too.
forgot about that sessions. DJs
You know what I
back
mean?
then, like homies would have like, yo man, let's just come over and have a session. It was a live stream of 8 different DJs in one night doing their sets, and you try to be
Hmm.
not better, like compete, but like it was like it was just like you wanted to be like, okay, you did that, let me do my best stuff.
Right.
Like you have everyone practices certain sets. I think when you're starting, or you do certain sets that are like cool, and you were like, okay, let me put the best of the best together,
Hmm.
not to stun on this guy, but to like you want to be like the damn, he
Yeah.
killed it kind of
Right.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Like
in your
it.
head, you're like, you know what I mean? Like that was I it's funny,
Mhm.
I totally forgot about that. But now everyone's it's more of what you look like, what you own, what you it's all about flashing,
Or like
like,
if you just play the hits, like
yeah,
that's all that
exactly.
matters or
Now,
something.
and of course, I mean, I don't mean to be a hypocrite because obviously I do Hollywood, nightclubs and stuff like that. But it's funny because now it's really like anybody can say, yo, blah 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 blah, and then you play, I don't know, the baby, and then you play, and then everyone, a lot of DJs now, I'm one of them too. I like to put the music down when during the songs and have the crowd scream. That's a cool feeling. But I feel like every DJ now just does that. They put the volume down for a second, then the next song. There's no real mixing. There's no more creativity. There's no more. It's just really hit, hit, which is what you're supposed to do. That you don't go to a gig playing the B tracks. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You
You're an
play the
entertainer at the end of the
yeah,
day,
yeah,
you know.
exactly. But I think to get to that point, people forget, like, the artistry of it, the mix, the mixing, the just DJing about
Hmm.
as a whole.
Yeah, see, and I try to talk about that a lot here at the academy because I would want anybody that's starting out or like getting into it to like really find that love in the music, find that love in manipulating music and hearing sounds and stuff so that when you apply that to DJing, and when you apply that to performing, that's what's going to make you stand out, you know, because nowadays people, like you said, are kind of just playing music, just dropping stuff. But you know, if you're a music lover, which I feel like almost any DJ that's really passionate about actually DJing is a music lover. Like we just obsess over
Any
yeah, yeah, new and
yeah,
old.
it's funny because when me and him first talked, we had nothing in common. Like
Yeah.
I mean, besides music,
Yeah.
I really didn't. You get to know a person, but what it was music that you clicked over, and it wasn't just like that's why it doesn't bother me. But when people are like, "Oh, I only play reggaeton, or I only play EDM, or only hip hop, or only house, or only pop," or it's like you're a DJ, you should play everything. You should know or want to know everything. You know what I mean? Like when I first started building up my library, I tried to have anything and everything because I wanted to be the kind of DJ that was like I'd be DJing and someone's like, "Hey, do you have this by so and so? Some random song in the iPhone that just came out." I wanted to be the guy that was like, "Yeah, I do."
Mhm.
So that was like I wanted to have that old new because I would do back then. It was I was doing again anything and everything. I was doing. If you told me to do a quinceañera, I'd be there. You told me to do an 80-year-old birthday party, bro, I'd be there doing an 80. And I would do my research, look up the biggest hits of the 30s, 20s, 40s. Now I see it's funny, but I would go that far to do it, and you end up, you find more songs, and I always did, I just always wanted more. I think people now are just like, oh, Bad Bunny's dope. Oh,
Hmm.
whoever, Migos is dope. I just need that, and you tell them, hey, bro, can you play, Patti LaBelle, and they're like, hmm,
Hmm.
you know what I mean, or they have no clue. They're looking at me like, "Hmm?" I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, honestly, I feel like I've grown so much as a producer and DJ just by taking requests because it expanded my knowledge of music by so much because I mean so whether they're older or even younger, but you know, like usually older people, they'll ask you for older songs that you don't know, but instead of saying no, I don't have it, I'll be like, okay, hold on, and then I'll go download it somehow. But that just expanded my music knowledge, and then if it was something cool, then I would like dive into the other stuff from that artist, and then I'd like find more, and then
Yeah, and it's cool because I remember there was times you would text me like, dude, I love this funk stuff, and you would text me like a ton of songs, and then you would show me something like just I don't know, just some I know you're a big fan of like house and and bounce and all this stuff, and you would like I always liked it, but I would get into a rabbit hole of it once you said, yo, check this out. You would show me a song and be like, man, I want more of it, and you just naturally do your own research on it, and that's I
yeah.
think how we became cooler.
I think
Music
that
in
I think
general.
discovering music is like one of the best things,
That's the
man.
best thing on earth
And
because
when you
every
find
yeah.
friends that are just gonna show you new stuff, like that's to me, those are the best friends, bro.
Oh yeah.
Friends that like share music with you, awesome. Um, okay, well let's talk about more about the club stuff, right? So you started your first club July 31st of 2009, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so I mean, like I said, I've been a fan since the very beginning as well. Like I saw your names at the house parties, and I would go and watch you DJ, right? So I've seen like the growth, and I've seen the transitions into different eras of music and different eras of different clubs and stuff. And you've done a lot of events with, I mean, basically any celebrity that you can imagine, right? Like you've done Migos, you've done Travis Scott, um, Big Sean,
Yeah, just
just
yeah,
everybody, right?
some cool artists. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and what I think is really cool about Dome is that these, I mean, he's such a good DJ that these artists have even, you know, taken him beyond the club and have invited him to DJ for them personally, like it like their kid's birthday party or
Yeah.
their own birthday party or you know whatever it is they're having. So I think that's a like an aspect or like a side of DJing that a lot of DJs are never would never kind of experience. So you know what's your experience with that? What is that like? You know, it is like how do you prepare for it mentally? Like to me, if I got hit up by Travis Scott to DJ his birthday party, I think I would freak out a bit, bro. I'd like, dude, what are you gonna play for Travis Scott at his birthday party? You know what I mean? Like, you can't drop the ball. You know what I'm saying? So, like, how do you prepare for it? What, you know, what do you, how do you
I
think about it?
for me, so it was I was doing that with again with Dirty Draws, and you kind of just pinch yourself for a second because you think like dang like I did this like at least me at least, and I know I can probably speak for him on this behalf, but you think to yourself like man like I really started DJing for fun, and now you're DJing for, you listen to Travis Scott, and you see what he becomes, what he is, and now they're calling you, texting you, hey, can you do our party? You kind of just pinch yourself and think like, damn, that's crazy. But when that happens, like you just, it's surreal for a second, and then you start thinking, okay, well, then you get back to, you're there for a reason and sense, and you think, okay, well, let me prepare. You create you don't have to necessarily create a set song for song, but the way I like to prepare for sets is I love to create a crate. I use Serato and Scratch Live and all that stuff. I create a crate, a folder of music of songs that I think are fire, whether it's old or new. I just, at the end of the day, if I'm DJing for a huge select, even if it's not even huge, just a regular, if I'm DJing for you or him or X, Y, and Z, and they're, even if they're nobodies, bro, like my goal is to always make sure you leave thinking, dang, he's dope. Doesn't, it can be Travis Scott, it can be my mom's coworker's dog. I want them to be like, damn, he's dope. That, so I love to kind of just sit and think to myself, like I think you have to be in silence for a second, and at least the way I do it is, and I think, okay, what would work, what's exciting, what's fun, what's dope, create a crate, throw songs in there, and the more you do it, you start thinking, oh, this is dope too, and then you remember other parties you do, and you're like, oh man, I gotta do this one too because I remember this. And then everyone has like little sets that they do, like little combo sets, and you think, okay, this goes perfect with this. Again, it's not A through Z set list, but it's just songs thrown in there, and it's just, it's just kind of,
Then you kind of vibe out with the crowd too, right?
yeah,
You
of
feel
course,
like
yeah,
whatever they're vibing
yeah,
to.
yeah, definitely. You can't. Thanks, I kind of blanked
Yeah.
out. You can't go in thinking this is gonna work this way. If you do that, I feel like you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. Unless you're like Cascade performing for the EDC, then that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You can just press play. It's good, but
Yeah.
but like us, we're still, even though you're there, you're still putting in work, because it's not like they're like, wow, they're, in their head. I feel like they're like, okay, let me see what he has.
Right.
Let me see what he's got. So a little part of you is still trying to impress them, and it's also trying to impress yourself. It's not just for everybody. You do it for a reason. And I know when I try to DJ, I try to become, better every single time. I don't practice as much as I should, but when I do these gigs, I think, okay, what would be better? What would be dope? And it's so easy just to fall into a routine of, okay, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this, and it always works. And yeah, it does. But every once in a while, like I feel like your brain has to turn on and activate, and you really gotta get different with it. You know what I mean? You can't just do the same thing, because if not, they'll be like, oh, he's gonna. Well, we know what he's gonna do. Let's go with someone else. You really have to always open the box, and it's cool to just be, that I think that lets you speak for yourself. Because I was at a Travis Scott party playing Justin Timberlake. You know what I mean? Like, and you wouldn't think Travis Scott, who rages out, is gonna be, liking Justin Timberlake or Michael Jackson, but he does. When I DJed for Chris Brown's birthday parties, like I'm there playing Michael Jackson, I'm playing, you know, George Clinton and Atomic Funk and Atomic Dog and just all kinds of stuff I like too. But at the end of the day, I feel that that vibe shows off more than hit. Sometimes I feel like it's the energy you give off as a DJ too. If you're doing these cool parties and you're kind of just like, but if you're playing a song you're really into and they see you kind of just doing your thing, I feel like crowds are like, man, he's really into it, and I feel like that leads the crowd more as opposed to just if you're like, ooh, you're really into it, whether they are, obviously you're not gonna go play whatever you want entirely, but I feel like if you're into it and you love the song that much too, or the vibe that much, that creates it for the party too.
It's like you bring energy.
Yeah, it really is.
And they feed off your energy too. You're talking about like all this older music, or like you said, like Michael Jackson and stuff like that, and that's something that I've always kind of I've always definitely admired about when you play, is that we talked about music knowledge, but your music knowledge is so vast. But not only is it so vast that you know all these records from way back in the day to brand new, but you have the talent to mix them together, either with new or just with each other, to like just give it its own sound and feel. And I think that's something that has always propelled you further, because people can hear that and people love that nostalgia. You know what I mean? Like, of course, yeah, Chris Brown makes like these like radio hits, and these radio, that's his thing. But that the reason why he makes that music is because of all the music that he grew up with. And when you have a DJ like Dome that can like bring all that back and like tie it all in together. And that, I mean, that's just amazing. And you know, and last week we talked about AM, and that's kind of something that he did or that he started. And
Yeah, he made
you
he
know,
made random and old cool. I think
right,
he would
right,
like what you're saying. He would do, he would do Oasis with with something like that was the coolest thing ever. He do Eve, Let Me Blow Your Mind with whatever was cool at the time, and like that's honestly one of my favorite routines. And then you watch DJs like Jazzy Jeff doing all kinds of cool little skits with Run DMC, and I would have watched those videos over and over, thinking, man, that's so cool.
hmm
But like you said, it protrudes, and you're like, I like to. Yeah, I feel like you have to kind of stick to yourself at some point. You always have to at some point. You always have to stick to yourself. Excuse me, because it's really easy to just become the DJ that plays hit number one, hit number two, hit number three. When you go to the club, yes, you hear those hits, but it's like these people are driving to the club. They're getting ready at their house listening to Migos. They're getting in their house listening. They're on the way to the club listening to Cardi B. They're walking into the club hearing Future. Then at the prime night, all they're gonna hear is Cardi B, Future, Migos. It's like I like to do that. Of course, you're gonna play that, but it's cool to have a little twist of obviously granted the setting. You're not gonna be at an 80-year-old birthday party trying to flip it up, playing Future on them. You know what I mean? But it's like it's cool to do like I personally I'll sometimes I will do that. I'll do like when I was on the radio, I did a jump off a few years ago on Power, and I was doing Blue Monday with Bugatti, the song Bugatti, and it just sounded. It was an '80s song with the hottest song at the time. It is so dope to me, and I feel like that was
Yeah.
artistry, like the mixing of it, and yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's really easy to fall into what everyone's doing, and yes, it's fun, it's exciting, but I think you have to you have to do what makes you stand out. I know when you DJ, I've heard you DJ. I'm a huge fan. You're one of my favorite DJs, honestly. And I when I hear you DJ, obviously you do your hits, you blah blah blah, whoop de woo, but then you'll like towards the end of it, you start doing all the classics, like and you do it your own way. Everyone has their own style. I love to do R&B at the end of the night, but and I try to switch it up because it's easy to do the same R&B routine. But like when I hear you DJ, you'll do like R&B, and then you do like this. You'll do Linkin Park, and I'm just like, holy smokes, I forgot about that. And it's exciting again. You know what I mean? Like that's what I love. That's what DJing is. It's
Yeah,
not just
and seeing that, and that reaction, bro, like that crowd reaction when you play something that people haven't heard in a while, but they know that they love it, and when you
yeah.
hear the crowd go, oh, oh yeah,
Or you can
I
just
like,
see it in
oh
them,
man, I
and they're
love
dancing.
that
Like
so
I
much.
love seeing people dance, and like they're dancing with their girl, and they kind of move her to like
Yeah,
and
you know what I
that's
mean?
like, all right, I did it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man, and you can definitely tell because they'll come and they'll just go like, oh, that's dope, man. That's
Yeah,
dope. You know what I mean? They just like, say what's up.
that's like the
Like,
rewarding
yeah.
part. That's the rewarding part of it. Of course, the money comes with it and stuff, but at the end of the day, you can do anything for money. You can be selling elotes on the corner if you wanted to, making $400 or $500 if you wanted to. You know what I mean? But it's more of it's you got to do what you love, and you can see it. I think in sometimes because there's people, if you go to South Central, there's this guy who's there every weekend just hustling his butt off, and maybe he doesn't dream about elote, but he loves doing it and he loves providing that service for people, and you can see it.
Right.
As opposed to he's not just there scraping like he's doing his thing. But like us too, that kind of goes for DJs. It's like there's DJs who you see who they're miserable. They're literally just they have the headphones on and they're just next song, as opposed to like, woo, they're into it. Don't get me wrong, I have my moments where I check my phone too, and I'm human. There was times where at the relationships or money things or family things are in your head, and you're still a person, that gets in your mind. But it's I think you have to go into it thinking. You have to close your eyes for a second, and at least I do. Yeah, I've seen you prepare for your sets. There's times I'll call you, hey, what are you doing? Hey, dude, I'll call you back. I gotta prepare. Like that's cool as opposed because you can easily be like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah. The sky is blue today. You know what I mean? It's so easy to fall out of line with it. And with you, that's what I love about your artistry. Still, hey bro, I'll call you back. I gotta prepare. I'm preparing for this set or want to get this right. Like that misses. That's missing now.
See, and that's perfect, man. That you're talking about preparing because, and you're saying that's missing because that's what I kind of feel is missing now with like this. I'm not, and by all means, I'm not like trying to trash talk new DJs or anything like that. I'm just trying to
No, of
see like
course.
what's like what would be really nice to see again, But preparing for like a mixtape, right? like I'm a big fan of all your mixtapes. I think they're the best
Thank you,
out
man.
there and
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you.
So well put together, so well thought out. Um, what you do with the songs, like the effects, the skits that you put in there. To me, that takes a set or a mixtape from being like kind of just a DJ putting like transitioning songs together to like an actual body of work, like a body of art, like presenting to the world. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So preparing for that, sometimes when I hear the mixtape, the mixtapes you put out, I would think, how does he even think of that? You know what I mean? You've told me like, oh, dude, this sometimes I just get in the zone. You just like sometimes you just bring it out and stuff. But like, when you're putting together a mixtape like that, preparing, what's your mentality? Like, what do you aim for? What are your goals? Or do you just go for like, hey, this sounds dope? Or like, what do you do that makes your mixtapes just like stand out the way they do?
You always, at least me, when I first started doing mixtapes, I just wanted to do the coolest thing ever. And I'll be honest, one of my first mixtape, it was called, you can't find it anywhere because I made sure I got rid of that thing online. But it was called, and then there, I mean, some people, it's cool because some people tag me and it's still like, it's kind of funny. But my first tape was called, mixtape was called, and then there was Dome. And it was me doing a live mix. And it was just the coolest this. And it was dope. It was fun, but I remember doing it, and when I got a reaction, and people were like, "Dude, I love it." It was more of a party vibe, and of course, we're
Mhm.
DJs. You still have to, you know what I mean?
Right.
But
You
it
still
was
have to
like
party.
it was a party vibe. It was the coolest of the coolest of the coolest to really stand out, make myself stand out. Now, I mean, I haven't done it. I'm actually working on something now, to be honest. Um, but now when I prepare for mixtape, it's totally different than it was 10 years ago. Before it was, of course, I still it's fun to me, but it was more of like a, oh, let me do it and put it out and see what people think. If they love it, they love it. Now I still have that exact core of I let me do something, I put it out and people love it, they love it. But now I want to give them a reason to love it. I want to leave them wanting more. I want them to finish it and be like, no, why no? Why is it only 30 minutes? Dude, I need to hear more from you. You have to leave people wanting more, I think, and as opposed to just because DJs now I hear a lot of mixtapes and people, I'm very blessed to be in the position I am and be around the people I'm with and the events I do. And a lot of people now just I hear so many mixtapes. Before this started, had before clubs were shut down, I would hear so many mixtapes every week and like at least one or two a week minimum. And they'd send it to me, and it was just literally Bad Bunny plays for 4 minutes, and they just slowly blend into the next song, which is fine. If you blend, that's fine. But if you're gonna do something dope, like what's gonna make you different from you playing Taki Taki all the way through, and then whatever J
Mhm.
Balvin song, and then the next one's Migos. Like, what's gonna make you different than that? For me, it's and the way I always think of it, I was actually told this by my favorite DJ again, Dirty Draws. He would always tell me like a mixtape is something once it's out, you can't explain to the world, oh, I messed up right there. Once it's out, you can't tell some guy in Germany. You never know where it goes. I did a mixtape, and thankfully, I'm very grateful that it got over 100, almost 150,000 plays. It got taken down because of copyrights, and I had to go through this lawsuit and everything. And I believed in myself, but not enough to go to court. You know what I mean? I was like, man, maybe not that much. And I remember I never expected it to go. It was called Justin Timberland, and I never expected it to go. I just wanted to do. I wanted to make a mixtape for Justin Timberlake fans and Timberland fans because they work together all the time. I was like, you know what? I want to make a mix that's dope. That's that. I wanted to make a timeless mixtape. I wanted to create my Thriller, my Michael Jackson Thriller, my Purple Rain, my Prince Purple Rain, and that mixtape was that. I remember thinking, you know what? I want to make it my baby, want to nurture it, take care of it. And I remember when I was creating it, I had 50 different versions of it because I feel like, and it's okay to mess up along the way because it's not out. But once it's out, you can't explain. Like once it's out in the world, you can't explain to anybody. Like let's even a post that goes for a post on Instagram. If you post, this or whatever it is, you can and this will go back to mixtape. If you post something on your you release a mixtape and you mess up and you can fix it, but you're like, no one's gonna notice. But then now just say it goes worldwide, and some executives are listening. You never know who's listening to, dude. Like I remember I was getting people from literally all over every single country almost. That was such a blessing. telling me languages I didn't even know. I love your mix. Thank you. You make my life. This made my life better. And obviously, I don't expect them to, whatever. But change their life for me. But here, when they say change their life, I think it made them forget. It helped them escape. I know the effect I was going for. I know I heard some. I can feel some people. They would send me videos of them listening to it for the first time, and they were like, "Oh my god!" And it was somebody in Brazil sending me that. I had no clue who this girl was. It's like a 10-year-old girl sent me a video of her dancing. Well, that sounds weird, but like you're like it was like you'll get what I mean. Oh man, you gotta be so politically correct now. Yeah, like it was like some little girl sending me a video of her on YouTube. She uploaded dancing. Her mom sent it, and she was like, "Look at what my daughter's doing. She wants to dance now, and now I want to put into dance classes." Like, obviously, that wasn't because of DJ Dome. It was just more the effect that you kind of put out into the world.
Mhm.
And again, that falls into I'm a perfectionist. Maybe it's a good thing and bad thing, but when I do a mix, like I know I've said this a few times already. Excuse me, but when you release something, you can't take it back to the world and be like, "Oh my bad, I messed." You can't tell every single person, "Hey, I messed up right there." And that's the 150,000 plays I got off. I seen was only on the platform I had it on. That's not including. I was on every single blog that there could be. It was I got to talk to Justin Timberlake because of my mix. Justin Timberlake is one of my favorites of all time. To be able to talk to Justin Timberlake because of a mixtape I did idea I had in my house in my live. I remember being on my bed on my sofa on my bed, just laptop on my stomach, thinking I want to make a dope mix. Typed in a few songs, and I was like, this would go cool. This would go cool. That turned into this 35-minute. I call it I like to think of it as a masterpiece because it's timeless and not to be arrogant or anything like that. It's just it's something that to this day when I'm starting this mixtape now actually, and I think back like man, like you lose inspiration. It's so fast lose inspiration and things, but once you create something, it's out of the world forever. You can't explain to him, well, I was gonna do this, but I didn't. So I just kept that. Like this guy hears what he hears, and it's you're a
Mhm.
DJ, bro. You're not gonna explain to it. They're gonna hear the explanation is the mix itself.
Mhm.
And I feel it's very easy to be like, I messed up, but it's all good. Like I think the work people forget behind it is the hardest part. It took me 3 months, legit 3 months, for 3 real full months, not like a week and stop. I was like day after day after day. I have 40 different versions of that mixtape. For a 35-minute mixtape, it took me 3 months because I would listen to it. One of my favorite things is to go in the car and when I'm done with the mix, where I'll render it out, I'll put it out, and I'll drive and I listen to it and I think, okay, this is a vibe. If I don't, like, I had to go
Mhm.
back to square one and then, okay, you know what? The vibe went down here. Let me check it out. I love getting your opinion. If I do something, I send it to you. I do my edits. I send it to you. I think, what do you think? And you're like, oh, it's cool, but this, and I think people now are scared to either scared, excuse me, scared or nervous to get back criticism as opposed to, you know what I mean? Like if you send me something and I think it's whack, that's messed up. If I'm like, yeah, bro, it's
Mhm.
dope, but I'm like, oh my God,
Mhm.
throw it away. You know what I mean? Like I think people are scared of criticism or think, you know what? Nah, it doesn't matter what he thinks, it's what I want to hear, which is a good attitude to have. But at the end of the day, like other
You're not gonna
people,
get
yeah,
better.
you're not gonna get
You
better that
know,
way.
that's the only way you're gonna get better when somebody points out your
Yeah.
discrepancies and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And your work and stuff. The energy that you put into the mix, and I think you said it about something else, but we were talking about DJing. You said that what you put into it is what you get out. And I think since you've put so much passion and so much hard work into a mix like that, that's how you got the love back because I think that energy translates through that mix to somebody listening to it. They're like, damn, like I've never heard this song like this before. And I didn't know I needed that in my life kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think definitely like taking your time and like being a music lover and putting everything together. Goes. We're going on Instagram live real
Yeah,
quick.
is that weird?
No, that's
No,
cool.
let's do it. I want to do it. And
Yeah, man.
no, actually,
And so Justin Timberland. I mean, I showed these guys that mix. Um, yeah, absolutely amazing. Um, I love how
thank you.
you put like stripped elements from that.
Yeah, I'm a
You know what I
big fan
mean?
of when you hear a song. People hear a song and they forget. like what they know the song. Like let's just say I don't know. In this, I'm gonna talk about the Justin Timberlake mixtape. People hear this song and they know Sexy Back for what it is. I wanted you to hear Sexy Back in an entirely new, different way. I didn't want you to hear it and go, oh, that's Sexy Back. I wanted you to hear it and go, whoa, that's in there. I've never heard that
Hmm.
before. That's the kind of effect I like to have when I do a mixtape. I wanted people to be like, wait, what? I wanted people to play it and go back. And as a DJ, you want other DJs kind of playing your stuff. And I wanted people to be like, hold on, go back and go, what? And put it louder and put it like literally hold their ear and be like, that's in the song. I've never heard that
Yeah.
before. And you create that with another element of, you know, whatever it is. I wanted people to hear something new but refreshing at the same time. I really did. That was really the end goal for me of this mixtape, and I ultimately was to be able to DJ for Justin Timberlake. But when I did it, I remember constantly thinking to myself, I want somebody to hear this brand new. I want them to play it again and again and again. I wanted people to have this nonstop idea of, whoa, this is too good. Where can I get more?
Hmm.
How do I get more? Because at the end of the day, you're a DJ. Like that's what you do. If I do that for a living, you don't just do one thing and then say, oh, all right, I'm done. Like
Right.
you had to, you never stop growing
Never stop. Right.
until you be, and even then, like think about it, Cascade, or well, maybe not him because he's done, but like he's chilling now. But you look at whoever, I don't know who just released a new album, Diplo, Calvin Harris, I don't know, and any of these huge artists, chain smokers, like they created some of the biggest hits of 2014, 2015, 16, and they didn't stop. They
Mhm.
did another album. And it's like, and they're gajillionaires. They don't need to make another album,
Hmm.
but they went back in the studio and said, after they signed that nice little check,
Hmm.
they said, "Hey man, let's make another hit. Let's make more." And I think people lose that artistry and that creativity now. It's more of just, oh, you know what? I'll do a mix. Yeah, they want to show it to their fans, but they don't care to put the work behind it. I think they just want to do the actual. Let me blend 5 songs together, play it for 3 minutes, quick little scratch here and there, and put it out.
Hmm.
When I go in there, I think I sit down, I strip it down, and I think what goes good with this, and I try with 50 different songs.
Hmm.
And I don't think I think people don't do that now. I will try again. I have 40 different versions of 2 minutes stripped up for a mix that ended up not being at all the final version of the mix. And I listen to it myself and I think, damn, that's tight. But when I hear the final product of it, I think like this is cooler. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, there's like two things that I want to touch on that you mentioned. So like one of them was that you said, well, about making people want more, right? And
Yeah.
what I think, what I love about your mixes is
Oh,
that
yeah.
I feel that some of the songs, or just like so the way you put it together, I feel like you can't hear that unless you're listening to that
Yeah,
mix.
exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that's like putting
That's
that.
the hardest part too,
Yeah.
because I know you send me versions of something so many times, and you're probably like torn, like, man, this is so good, but you don't put it out because as much as you love it, you're still building a brand, you're still creating a brand for yourself. So you, as much as you love and want to just do this guitar little synth or a lead, from your sense, a lead that's dope. For me as a DJ, as a mixtape, trying to become this bigger name, I was not just I had to do what I loved, but it had to be for the masses too. It couldn't just be,
Mhm.
yes, love what you. I put songs I loved in there so much, but I made it my own still, but it was still enough for the guy in Japan to be like, oh my god, I love it. You know what I mean? Like it was enough for him to do that, and um, I think that's the hardest part of it because there's so many, and sometimes you'll work on something for a week straight, a part of it for a week straight, and then you think, man, like this isn't I
Mhm.
wish the world could hear this part of it, but and I think that's the hardest part of being. That's where that's where you become an artist, and you have
Definitely,
50 different demos or versions of one part of in your case a song. In this case, I have 50 different versions of a mixtape, 40 different versions, and you get one version, and that's the hardest part. You really sitting down and thinking, okay, this is what works best. But that's what being a DJ is, I think. a
Mhm.
mixtape DJ. You know what I mean?
See, and see what you were talking about, like the Diplo kind of thing, and what you're just talking about right now, that it has to kind of appeal to the masses. I think one big thing with the DJ and the fact that it's a never-ending job or like a never-ending journey is having that longevity. You know what I mean? And staying relevant and moving with times. Do
Yeah,
you like?
it's very easy to. I'm gonna stop this. It's very easy to. It's very easy to say I'm gonna do what I want to do at all times, and yeah, it's good to do that. It really is, but it's very easy to just do what you want to do all the time, like instead of keeping up with the time. I'm trying. I would always, I always wanted to make a mixtape. In this case, it worked out for me because I did it specifically for a brand. But I was doing it because there was a new album that was being released from him, a Justin Timberlake album. So I told my I was like, I want to make a sick mixtape, and one of my favorite people, he was just like, and I asked you too. I was like, like what kind of things should I do? And I remember this new album was coming out from Justin Timberlake himself. So I thought, you know what, he's gonna make a new album. Why don't I do something that incorporates the new stuff?
Mhm.
And now it's like but like now, like if you do it, like it depends, because I mean, if I stick to, if I do a mix from 2000, like right now it's 2020. If I do a mix and I'm dead serious about it and I do only hits from last year, people don't want to hear that because they don't want to play, they don't want to be on their boats playing, oh dude, well I have this new song. Like, yeah, you need to be relevant, you know what I mean? And if you create something that's right, I feel, and genuine, it'll last forever. You know, everyone has mixtape that, like to me, that's what it is, last forever. You can hear Michael Jackson's Thriller, it's still timeless to this day. It sounds fresh. You can hear Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, their album is from the 70s, bro, and it's still, you put it on now, you can listen back and be like, wow, this is amazing.
Mhm.
But then you hear certain artists that, I don't want to say any certain artists names, but like you hear certain artists that they had one song and it's like, okay, where are they now? Like they didn't, they tried to keep up but they couldn't, or they figured, no, I'm good, I don't need to keep up, I'm too good. Like that
Mhm.
too good only lasts for as long as
Mhm.
the cloud or the hit only lasts for as long as it goes. It's not gonna
Mhm.
last forever. Even through like if Michael Jackson was alive, he couldn't pop out the world and be like, well, I guess he could. But like,
Mhm.
like there's certain artists that can't do that. Like Rick Ross isn't gonna come out saying, "Well, I had BMF
Mhm.
15 years ago." We're like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, bro, we know, we heard it for 3 years straight, but what else you got?"
Mhm.
Because now you have Two Chains doing the newest thing. Now you have Big Sean, who he just released another mixtape, another album. These guys are always progressing with times and becoming better. And I think you find yourself more as an artist, whether it's related to the culture or related to just the music as a whole, or some of these artists are creating things that are for the future, but for now.
What do you think takes like a certain project from being like something that would just be temporary to like classic? Say
Heart,
that. Heart.
heart.
Okay.
If you, because anybody, we're all DJs in here. Anybody can put two songs together and be like, that sounds cool. But if you do a certain, this with that, and it sounds like my standard for wow, this is it, is if I'm listening to a song somewhere and I know, like let's just say my mixtape, a mixtape, you did a mixtape and there's song X and Y then Z. In my head, when I hear X, I want to hear Y and Z next. Like, if let's just go with, let's go with,
Mhm.
Michael Jackson. If I have this Michael Jackson song that goes, and I know what song is next because I hear this mix so many times, like if I'm in the car in my head, I start thinking of, man, I want to hear that mix because you know what's next, kind of thing. If
Mhm.
I feel like when you can do that to people's minds and make them go, oh, dude, like, or even if they're with their homies, it's cool. Like sometimes you'll be in the car and like, oh, dude. And I feel like people want to show people each other good music, and
Mhm.
like you said, good friends show each other good music, and that's really what you do as a DJ. Like if there's a dope song you're playing, I'm like, oh, dude, have you heard this mix? My boy, Don Dirty just did this mix, and look, check it out. He actually plays this song, and then they show you that part of the mix, and now the next person's like, damn, that's tight. Who is he? And they look into you. Oh, he's on Instagram. Cool. Let me follow him. He's posting more stuff. Cool. Let me get the content. And that's how you grow your base, your foundation, and stuff of it's just really but you have to put heart into
Mhm.
that because anybody can put two songs together. It's the work that no one's ever gonna see behind it. The work that the people are gonna see is what they hear. That whether it's the marketing, the promotion you put behind it. It's not just the mixtape now. Isn't just let me do a live 30-minute mix and send it out. It's I gotta promote it. You I wanna make merch for it. I wanna, there's so many things you can do with the mixtape. I'll buy a website. Let's just pretend I call it the Black Phone Mix. You know what I mean, or whatever it is. I'll make a website. I'll buy the website, theblackphone.com. On there, it's the Black Phone. You download the mix. Now there's a sweater that says the Black Mix. And when you love something that much, bro, like people wear it. You're wearing Tupac. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
like people be like, yeah, I love Tupac. So you're wearing a Tupac shirt. I wear Justin Timberlake clothing all day, Michael Jackson shirts all day because I love to hear that. And when people love something, they want to show the world, and they're like, I love this mix. And if somebody wears, like you have Don Dirty merch, somebody's putting on a shirt that says Don Dirty because they love you live, they love your edits, your songs, your remixes. That's because they love it. And they're, yo, what is that? Oh, that dude, this is Don Dirty. He's sick. I love it. He's so dope. Oh, you should check him out. And that's how it goes around. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um,
I think that's the best like fruit of the labor, that like when you see somebody that you don't know completely, but they just love your art, that you put so much heart and
yeah.
soul and time into it, and they indulge it, and they're like, yes, I love this so much. And see that when people come out to shows, when people come out to clubs and stuff for you specifically, that means a lot, man. Even when they're just paying $10, $20,
It
25,
does
that's
because
hard earned money that they worked for.
yeah,
That
and people are going to see you,
and they're
like I
gonna
said.
go see you do, what you love, and do what you do best, and they spend that money, and then when they buy your merch, when they buy stickers, anything like that's the to me, that's like, because that's what, as DJs, as like music lovers, like that's what we're as entertainers, we're here to make other people happy, other people
Exactly.
dance and
And
stuff.
that's an escapism because it's not just they plan this out. Let's just say you have a show. I have a show in 2 weeks. Now they think, oh man, he's
Mhm.
coming to a show, dude. Heck yeah! People will literally go to their phones, look at their calendar, and be like, all right, let me move this around,
You gotta call off
and yeah,
work.
I gotta, hey bro, like, and you gather up your friends, yo, dude, Don Dirty's gonna be live, and he's performing live. Let's go check him out. Now you're gathering. Now it becomes an event,
Mhm.
and this is all to see you in sense, and that the entertainment part of it. Now they're getting ready, listening to your music, your mixtape, your songs that you
Mhm.
release. And they want to show off the merch because they're like, I want you to know I'm a fan,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna wear your merch to the show.
Mhm.
And you know what I mean, like that, and that's what becomes that really, like you said, it's the most rewarding part because they're not getting ready thinking, damn, like life sucks today. Like they're
Mhm.
they're excited. They're for those, whether it's an hour or two, they just forget about life. I think for a second, and it takes them there, and it's nostalgic.
I think it's also just really important to like always be on point. You know what I mean? To like always kill it. I mean, with anything in general, because when you kill it with a mixtape, when you kill it with a DJ set, it's gonna translate to them, right? But then when you consider like, hey, there's people out there that are one like spending their money, spending their time, like spending getting like their energy to just get their friends together to come see you,
Yeah,
and then for some reason you're having like I mean, everybody has bad days, but
of course.
of course, but when it comes to performing, when it comes to you being the artist, like you have to uphold that. Because I would be so bummed if somebody like just was so excited, like you said, getting ready and like getting their friends together, and then they're like, oh, he was all right, or they
Yeah.
have to explain to the friend that they took, right? They have to explain, oh well, he was better last time.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
your friends are like, all
it
right, dude,
sucks.
whatever. Now
Yeah,
you're like, and now like when you're in a party, like everyone's throwing out ideas, you throw one out, they're like,
yeah,
let's
right.
let
Then the
somebody
next
out.
time we're like, oh well, last time he kind of whack. So yeah,
Yeah,
man,
and like you said, and like we all have bad days, and but you can't let that show into your work. And I've been guilty of it, where there's been times where I've been in a slump, whether it's financially, mentally, physically, emotionally, even. Like it'll mess up your work, but like you never seen. I mean, granted, you seen Justin Bieber have a break. He was one of my favorites, but he was Justin Bieber. Like it's not an excuse, but it's like, all right, I can give you some slack. But like, but even like the greatest of the greats, you never seen the Beatles on stage going, fuck this, I'm out. Like, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like they had a bad, oh, excuse me, they had a bad day, and they were probably like, they cleared their mind, and took a deep breath and said, okay, let's put on this show.
Right.
You
Like
never
find the
see-
escape in the
Yeah,
in the
you don't
DJ,
see
you know what I
Freddie
mean?
Mercury on stage going, oh, you know what I mean? He's not. He escapes and he transforms, and it naturally, if you're into it, you love it that much. I think it takes over when you become when you go on stage and it's like this alter ego. I feel not like arrogant, but it's like this really like like
Mhm.
you become something else.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I've never noticed that because there's times where I'm DJing and I'm dancing, I'm laughing, but if I'm at the party, I knew if I was there at the party, I'd probably be like, but when the second I get off on stage, it's like I'm exploding with energy and I'm jumping, I'm laughing, I'm smiling, I'm dancing, I'm interactive with the crowd, and
Mhm.
all that kind of falls back to you get those people at your events from this mixtape you did, this idea you had in your head. You can be bored at home,
Mhm.
flipping in a chair, thinking, this would sound cool. You put it together. Now 50 different people are hearing it, and they're like, dude, I want to see that. 50 times, 100 is a lot.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So and
Mhm.
it's
Yeah, I think it like boils down to like attitude, and just the way you approach anything in general. Approaching it with wanting to be the best and put the best out and stuff. And I mean, you said you're a perfectionist, and you talked about marketing and how everything's kind of like a project now, and I think that takes a lot of passion too, and believing in your art, because you're right. Like nowadays, and I think that's the way it'll be the most successful too, is
yeah.
like the stuff that you're putting out, whether it's a mixtape or a song or something, at the end of the day, this is a product, right? That some people are gonna either subscribe to for free by like following you, or they're gonna pay for it by buying the song.
Eventually, if you love something that much, you're gonna pay for it.
Right.
Like you're gonna pay for it, and obviously you don't ever hope to take advantage of people. Like you're not gonna have someone sign up for $1,000 for one song either. You know what I mean? Like that's just ridiculous.
Mhm.
But people pay for what they love, like, and people want to show that off. When you buy a burger from In-N-Out, you want to tell people this is the best or whatever it is. Let me post it. You buy new shoes, let you love them. Let me post them because I love them, and ultimately you want people to be like, you know what, this mix is so dope. I have to share it with the world. You have somebody doing that every day, all day, like you. That's how you build, your fan base, and it's cool because
Mhm.
these people are regular everyday people because you're no different from them. You're no different from the only difference between me and you and Kanye West is that they have money. That's really what they have, money. They have tools and resources, but they didn't
They're
wake up
human, just like
just
good. You know what I mean?
Paul McCartney didn't wake up and go, oh, I have $1 million in my account. They were a band that started up that became the Beatles. They
Mhm.
became, Michael Jackson became Michael Jackson. They don't do it just from ideas that said, oh, I'm gonna get to it. If that was the case, there would be no Michael Jackson, no Prince, no, none of that.
Mhm.
They watched the greats in sense, and Michael Jackson learned from Freddie Astaire, James Brown. Michael Jackson does some of the exact same that James Brown does, and he is like one of the greatest of all time because he made it his own. He put hours and days and years into his craft. Of course, there becomes a time where you know what works and what doesn't. Sometimes your presence alone is what sets it off, but they didn't do that off. You
Mhm.
look at the track record of Michael Jackson. He has hits and albums and catalogs and of
Mhm.
millions of things that led him to be like, all right, I can chill now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I always say, trust the process. To me, that's kind of like my saying. What's going on? Okay. Sweet.
he's all
Yeah,
trying to be sneaky. He's
yeah.
like,
Let's see. I think that the last thing I wanted to just ask, if we have 5 minutes left, is like just tips that you would give to a new DJ. You know what I mean? How to get their foot in the door, how to stay relevant, how to be a dope DJ. You know what I mean? There's a lot of DJs out there, but what does it take to be dope? You know what I mean? And like, because like I said, I feel like we come from that of like, no, you don't want to just DJ, you want to be dope. You know what I mean? We
yeah.
want people like, even if it's a Ginse, like, oh, he was dope. So, what tips would you give to anybody starting out, wanting to do this
Go
and
if
get
you're
to your level?
if you're gonna do it, go all in into it. Don't 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 have acid.
Yeah,
Excuse my
half-ass,
language,
yeah.
but yeah, don't have acid, man. Like if you're not gonna start something and be like, you know, all right, you're not gonna spend all this money and time and effort just to go, it's all right. If you're gonna do something, put everything into it. Put your heart into it. Put your mind into it. You know, make time for it. That's your baby. You know, like it's kind of just like raising a baby. I mean, I don't have a baby, but if I did, I would assume it's kind of just like this. You're gonna put your time into it. You're gonna stay up late. You're gonna wake up thinking of it, stay up thinking of it, go to sleep thinking of it because you want it to be right. Does it have to be perfect? No. Does it help? Of course, but don't let perfectionism get in the way of what you're doing. You know, because ultimately, you can be the dopest DJ in the world, but if you only practice in your room forever and you never do anything, but you're blasting it in this room, how's anybody besides these four walls gonna know what you're doing? How's anybody ever? Always put your heart into it. You have to. Don't finish what you can't start, and really just to stay with the times. I mean, we don't live under rocks. We all have phones in our hands. You know what I mean? Like, look up what's cool. Look up what's funny. If you want something to last forever, incorporate that with what you feel is right. Get it until it sounds right. Try a million times. There's so many different versions of a mixtape that I have that um, didn't I thought sounded right, but I listened to it. It took me 3 months to make one mixtape.
Mhm.
When I was on the radio, when Dirty Dolls was on the radio, we would stay up for 24 hours straight, and I'm not exaggerating that. I'm not lying at all. 24 hours straight working on the same 4 minutes of a mix because it had to be right. Because you can't explain to the world I messed up. You know, the world hears what they hear, and that's it. You get one impression. You're not gonna give somebody. It's like going on a first date. You're not gonna go without brushing your teeth. Look, you're not gonna go dressed like
stain on your shirt.
stain on your shirt from, you know, wristbands and X's on your cross. Like, you go out last night? No, that's from last week. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you want to impress, and and speak for yourself. You know, let the work. Excuse me. Let the work speak. Let the work speak for you. You don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, dude, it's good. I promise. It's good. I promise. Listen to what I promise. You want to be like, hey, check it out. We like it. You don't have to say this, but in your head, you're thinking like, I know when I made the mixtape, I literally gave the mixtape to Justin Timberlake. I didn't say, Justin, I promise you're gonna love it. I literally handed him a flash drive and said, I will hear from you soon.
Mhm.
Gave it to him. I mean, obviously he didn't call me,
Mhm.
but I was able to talk to him, and
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not lying. I am not lying about this kind of stuff. I heard what I did on the mixtape. I'm a big fan of Justin, and then 2 weeks after what he heard on the mix, he was doing it live in his set, in his goddamn tour, and I was like, holy smokes, that's me. Like, that's the satisfaction I got of it, kind of thing. And now you multiply that times the world, that all came because I sat there, I got frustrated. I said, you know what, screw it. I closed the laptop, and I didn't want to do it because it wasn't right. Get it, do it until you get it right. Don't stop. That's really it. Don't stop. Be persistent. Be consistent. Don't stop.
Mhm.
You can't stop.
I believe that, man, and putting your best foot forward. You know, I think what the analogy of like basically your work is like if you're like treat it like you were going on a first date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to put your best foot forward, make it as good as you can. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Just give him a round of applause to DJ Dome.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to plug anything in. Make sure you guys follow Famous DJ Academy, DJ Dome.
Thank you guys for having me,
Alright.
man. It's cool to share.
He's working on a new mixtape, right?
I'm working on I'm actually because I've only actually inspired me. I'm working on a new mix. Don't have a title for it yet, so I can't put it out. But I'm excited to come back and say, hey, this is what, and I maybe strip that down here.
Hell yeah, that'd be awesome, bro.
Thank you
for
very
sure
much.
Do that.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.